Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Zhou Zhou looked a little happy. These two Lord talents seemed to be quite good. He immediately absorbed them without hesitation. This extraordinary tier Lord talent sphere immediately turned into countless orange spots of light and surged into his glabella. Zhou Zhou closed his eyes. A moment later, he reopened his eyes again after some time. Then, he saw a rectangular golden box appear in front of him. The box was carved with the beautiful golden patterns of dragons, phoenixes, and other auspicious beasts. It looked precious and mysterious. This is the king's treasure box? Zhou Zhou took it curiously. He looked over, and a text notification appeared. Treasure name: King's Treasure Box, Soulbinder, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Treasure grade: Special tier. Treasure effect 1, half plane space. The King's Treasure Box is the King's storage treasure, which contains a dead and silent half-plane space that can store massive amounts of material. Treasure effect 2, automated collection. After the owner of the King's Treasure Box kills the enemy and retrieves the loots can be automatically stored in the space of the King's Treasure Box. No other life forms can spy on the treasure inside. Treasure effect 3, spirit accumulation. A treasure stored in the King's Treasure Box. After a long period of nurturing in the treasure box, the damaged treasure will slowly be repaired. There is a chance that intact treasures will give birth to spirituality, thereby improving the quality of the treasure. This spirit accumulation effect is only effective on treasures below the legendary tier. Treasure description: a creation from the Lord talent. It contains a half-plane space. It's a storage treasure that can only be chanced upon by luck. What a treasure! Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up when he saw the ability of the King's Treasure Box. Recently, he had been worried that he had too many spoils of war, and his spatial ring could not hold them all. Originally, he was wondering if he should bring a storage ring with all 10 fingers to store his loots. This was timely. With this box, he no longer had to worry about not having enough storage space. It was an entire half-plane space that could even fit the territories of a few kingdoms. As for the spirit accumulation effect, it sounded good. However, he did not know what its specific effect was and how long it would take to nurture it. Zhou Zhou looked at the King's Treasure Box in his hand. With a thought, he saw it disappear into thin air and appear in the sea of consciousness between his brows. This was the effect of soul binding. Treasures that could directly bind souls could be directly stored in one's body. This was much safer than wearing it. As long as he didn't die, no one could steal a treasure from him. Then, he picked up another epic tier Lord talent sphere and fused it. Then, he looked at its talent information expectantly. Lord talent, talent intuition, epic tier, talent intuition. When you encounter an event that requires decisiveness, there is a chance to obtain an intuition that is like the help of the heavens, allowing you to make the right choice. Zhou Zhou frowned slightly. This Lord talent was worthy of an epic tier Lord talent? He pondered for a while, but his expression gradually became serious. What a talent! He muttered. Life. Life could be said to be formed by choices. At times, the right choice could allow a person to soar and save countless years of hard work. And a wrong choice could also cause a person to fall from heaven to hell. There was even no possibility of making a comeback and wasting his life. That was the importance of choices. And this epic tier Lord talent, talent intuition, had a chance of making the right choice when faced with a choice. This meant that he did not have to take a detour. He might even obtain some great opportunities at some point. If I use this talent intuition well, the benefits it will bring me might not be inferior to the legendary tier Lord talent, or even the mythical tier 1 and only Lord talent. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. Such a Lord talent is a blockbuster the moment it appeared. When he thought of this, he could not help but smile. He never expected an epic tier Lord talent to give him such a huge surprise. Still, this Lord talent might not bring him much benefits in the short term. He had to be prepared for this. However, this was nothing. Zhou Zhou had nothing but Lord talent. It wouldn't work for a short period of time. The other 21 Lord talents could still take turns to exert strength. Then, he thought of the information he had seen about King Tan. No wonder King Taiyan's information introduced that the other party has an astonishing sense of smell and decisiveness. He has made many important decisions for the development of the Taiyan kingdom. So it has the extraordinary tier version of talent intuitions. In addition, it later said that King Taiyan had brought a lot of losses to the Taiyan kingdom because he trusted his sense of smell too much. I'll bear that in mind, too. You can trust your talent intuition, but never blindly trust other intuitions. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. Then, he looked at his Lord Talent. A total of 26 Lord Talents made him smile. There are so many Lord Talents. If I were to take a screenshot and post it on the World Channel, the others would be scared to death. Zhou Zhou thought with a smile. Then, he took a deep breath. These Lord Talents were his foundation. However, they were not enough. If he wanted to surpass the lords of the myriad races who had the foundation of top-notch races and civilizations, he would need even more powerful Lord Talents. Then, he stopped thinking and took out the divine spark fragment of the God of Glimmer that he had found in Taiyan's treasure vault. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use it?
Yes.
Zhou Zhou immediately said, and then his consciousness went black. Zhou Zhou realized that he seemed to have become the God of Glimmer when the god was young. When the God of Glimmer was young, she lived in a place called the Darkness Continent. This was her hometown. On this continent, there was no sun, only endless darkness. And the envoy of light, who was born from the bonfire and the light, was the only living being race that followed the light on this mainland. The God of Glimmer, Solon, was such an envoy of light. Solon had always believed in the God of light since she was born. All her life, she had used her light to explore the darkness, to destroy the dark monsters, to find a place for light to rest for those who could not live in the darkness. During this process, her strength also continuously increased until she grasped the power of the Glimmer Law and became a low-level god spirit, the God of Glimmer. Later on, she happened to pass through a teleportation array and arrived at the High Continent. She had originally thought that she would be able to find a higher path to advance as a god spirit on this even greater continent. However, she had an unfavorable start. She encountered an abyssal evil god in no time and was killed by it. The memories of the God of Glimmer's divine spark fragment stopped here. A text notification appeared. Please choose one of the following nomological skills belonging to the God of Glimmer. 1, 2, 3. Zhou Zhou looked at the 3 law skills. With the vague memories of the God of Glimmer, he immediately knew their nomological skills. 1. Law skill, Glimmer Protection, low-level deity advanced grade. 2. Law skill, Holy Light Sword, low-level deity advanced grade. 3. Law skill, Firelight, low-level deity advanced grade. The first law skill, Glimmer Protection, it was somewhat similar to the law skill, Absolute Light, that Zhou Zhou had mastered. They could use their light laws to protect others from the negative environments of the outside world in the Scarlet Fog or other dark environments. However, Absolute Light was a large-scale protection. Even though Glimmer Protection was not a large-scale protection, it could accurately protect everyone and prevent them from being attacked by the negative environment of the outside world for a long time. Furthermore, the Glimmer Protection could continue to work even if it was far away from the caster. As for Absolute Light, it could not be too far away from Zhou Zhou. It could be considered a very practical support law skill. The second law skill, Holy Light Sword, was a single target law attack skill of the Law of Light. It also had additional law damage bonuses to enemies with darkness, negative, unholy, and other stats. The third law skill, Firelight, was a group law attack skill of the Law of Light. Even though its power was weaker than the Light Hammer, its range of damage was extremely wide. Zhou Zhou pondered for a while and hesitated, not knowing which to choose. These 3 law skills would be very useful in the future. At this moment, he suddenly had an epiphany, and his gaze landed on the Holy Light Sword. It was as if the heavens were guiding him to choose this law skill and tell him that this law skill would be very useful in the future. Zhou Zhou immediately reacted. His talent intuition was triggered. He did not expect this Lord Talent to be triggered so quickly. However, since it had been triggered, Zhou Zhou no longer hesitated and directly chose the Holy Light Sword, a lost skill. Zhou Zhou seemed to see a golden holy sword that reached all the way to the sky in the distance. It flowed with light that was like the first rays of dawn, and it looked like it was enthralled. The holy sword flew over from afar and entered his forehead in the blink of an eye. Zhou Zhou was shocked. He subconsciously touched his forehead and took out a mirror. In the mirror, he found that there was a holy sword mark on his forehead. He subconsciously touched his forehead and took out a mirror. In the mirror, he found that there was a holy sword mark on his forehead. The mark from the holy sword disappeared when he thought to hide it. The holy sword mark appeared again when he thought for it to appear. Interesting. Is this the manifestation of the lost skill, Holy Light Sword? Why do I feel that this Holy Light Sword can connect with my absolute light lost skill? Zhou Zhou thought to himself. It seemed that he had to find an opportunity to try and see if he could really connect. Then, he looked at the ability information of this lost skill. Lost skill name, Holy Light Sword. Lost skill quality, low-level deity advanced grade. Introduction to the lost skill. Manipulate the power of the absolute light lost skill. Condense a holy light sword to kill the enemy. It has additional killing effects on creatures of chaotic camps that are evil, dark, scarlet, and negative. The description was simple. However, as a lost skill, its effect was destined to not be as simple as it was described. He took a few more glances and stopped thinking about it. Instead, he walked out of the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise and looked at the building in front of him. He silently chanted to upgrade his territory. 800 million units of basic materials, 500 white platinum tier mist cores, 2,000 origin crystals, 30,000 units of basic elemental gems, 9,000 units of high-level elemental gems, and 2 white platinum tier territory tokens disappeared. Boom. A golden light immediately covered the entire beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. A moment later, the golden light dissipated. The obviously expanded Lord Manor appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. Congratulations, your beginner Lord's Paradise has successfully been upgraded to a white platinum tier advanced grade building. Your white platinum tier intermediate grade essence spirit array has been successfully upgraded to white platinum tier advanced grade essence spirit array. Your territory has been successfully upgraded to white platinum tier advanced grade territory. Territory stone endurance increased to 50 million/50 million. Your territory has expanded to 5,000 kilometers x 5,000 kilometers x 20,000 m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward, basic construction blueprint treasure chest, white platinum tier advanced grade. Lord talent notification. The upper limit of the enemy lord's power that you can use insight defection on has been increased to legendary tier. Lord talent hint. Your monster ranches can be upgraded. Lord talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord talent hint. The strength of the clergy in your goddess of life's shelter has increased. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. Then, he looked at the requirements for the next level. Construction upgrade, 500 million units of wood, 500 million units of fine sand, 500 million units of metal, 500 million units of stone, 1,000 white platinum tier mist cores, 5,000 origin crystals, 100,000 units of basic elemental gems, 10,000 units of thunder elemental gems, 10,000 units of life elemental gems, 10,000 units of death elemental gems, 3 white platinum tier cities, 50 white platinum tier lifestyle professionals, 500 white platinum tier military professionals, 3 white platinum tier territory tokens. It's still the problem of high-level elemental gems. Zhou Zhou looked at the upgrade requirement and frowned slightly. There were a total of 20,000 life elemental gems and death elemental gems. Even if he had just obtained all the high-level elemental gems in the Taiyan Kingdom, he still could not satisfy the needs of the territory to level up. Looks like I have to hurry up and go to Titan Kingdom to take a look. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. He still remembered that Li Yuangan said that among the nearby kingdoms, the Titan Kingdom had the most high-level elemental gem minerals. If he wanted to obtain more high-level elemental gem resources and continue to upgrade his territory, dealing with the Titan Kingdom was a must. Then, he came to the Gate of Summoning and spent 2,000 units of basic resources and 500 white platinum tier mist cores to upgrade it. Congratulations, your Gate of Summoning has been successfully upgraded to a white platinum tier advanced grade building. You can summon plus 70 subjects every day. You will summon 80 professionals from the subjects every day. Prompt. Under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer 4, you can summon 1,715 subjects every day. You will summon 90 professionals from the subjects every day. Moreover, 5 of the professionals will have the same level as your territory. Zhou Zhou looked at its next level up requirement. Construction upgrade, 10 million units of wood, 10 million units of fine sand, 10 million units of metal, 10 million units of stone, 10 million white platinum tier mist core to upgrade the territory level to extraordinary tier elementary grade. This request is the same as giving it for free. Zhou Zhou lamented. He was not too surprised. It's time to build a kingdom. Zhou Zhou came back to his senses and took a deep breath. Then, he took out an extraordinary tier territory fusion certificate. He had also found this extraordinary tier territory fusion certificate in Taiyan's treasure vault. Originally, he had wanted to use the gradeless territory fusion certificate to fuse Blazing Sun City and the Taiyan Kingdom's capital. Now that he had this extraordinary tier territory fusion certificate, he naturally did not need the gradeless one. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use the territory fusion certificate, extraordinary tier? Yes, he replied. An illusory map appeared in front of him. It was a map of all the regions and territories that the Blazing Sun territory currently controlled. Zhou Zhou looked at the map. On this illusory map, there were still 12 regional territories separating Blazing Sun City from the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he first used the low-level territorial fusion proof to fuse all the regional territories between the two. Zhou Zhou had already obtained a lot of these low-level territory fusion certificates from Li Ya. In addition, he had obtained nearly 500 territory fusion certificates from the Taiyan Kingdom's treasure vault today, so he naturally was not lacking in this aspect. After fusing the separated territories, Blazing Sun City's territory level had already increased from white platinum tier to diamond tier. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he began to fuse Blazing Sun City and the Taiyan Kingdom's capital. Soon, he saw that on the illusory map, the boundary between the territory of the Blazing Sun territory and the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom gradually became blurry before finally disappearing. Then, rows of new text notifications appeared. You have chosen the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom, extraordinary tier regional territory, as the target of your initial territory fusion. Fusion in progress. Fusion successful. Congratulations, your initial territory, Blazing Sun Desert, Diamond Tier Regional Territory, has successfully fused with the Taiyan Kingdom's Imperial City, Extraordinary Tier Regional Territory. Your Blazing Sun Desert, Diamond Tier, Regional Territory has been significantly upgraded to an Extraordinary Tier Regional Territory. The range of your Blazing Sun Desert, Extraordinary Tier, territory has increased significantly. Your Blazing Sun Desert, Extraordinary Tier, territory has perfectly inherited all the resources of the original territory and the fusion territory. Please continue to fuse regional territories and increase the level of your regional territories. When Zhou Zhou saw this, a smile appeared on his face. I've fulfilled the 3 conditions for establishing a kingdom. It's time to establish my kingdom. Zhou Zhou took out the kingdom token. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use the kingdom token?
Yes.
Zhou Zhou said excitedly. The kingdom token instantly emitted an incomparably intense golden light. This golden light was so intense that it even penetrated his beginner-grade lord's paradise and shone in all directions, allowing the living beings within a radius of thousands of kilometers, or even close to 10,000 kilometers to see it. Some life forms looked at this scene in surprise and guessed what had happened. Some of the older elders were very emotional when they saw this scene. Which lord is establishing a kingdom? The path of a kingdom is uncertain, especially in a place like the High Continent. I wonder how long this king can last for his kingdom. Decades? Hundreds of years? If he can last for 1,000 years, he'll be considered successful. The early stages of building a new kingdom are not so easy to pass. In a towering palace that was 1,000 meters tall in the Titan kingdom, the current Titan king, Fins, was sitting on a desolate blood-red throne, staring coldly at the golden light in the distance. Is that the light of the kingdom token? Who has established a kingdom? Its expression was cold and irritable. The territory of the kingdoms around them was only so big. Originally, it was divided between Titan, Taiyan, Netherbark, and Aurora Kingdom. Now that there was suddenly an additional kingdom, it meant that they could originally get a quarter of the territory. Now, they could only get a fifth or even less. The cake was only so big. Naturally, it wanted as few competitors as possible. My king, the direction of that light is in the direction of the human lord's territory. I think it's probably the human lord who destroyed our giant roar army and killed the Ironfang king, Siphon, to establish the kingdom. A loud priest wearing a colorful priest robe walked out and said worriedly. Upon hearing this, the Titan king, Fin's expression became even gloomier. The Titan kingdom only had 5 heroes to begin with. Its national strength had greatly decreased because of that human lord who killed one of the heroes. Furthermore, it had yet to obtain the benefits of the Taiyan kingdom. It could be said that it hated that human lord to the core, but at the same time, it seemed to have thought of something, and a look of unwillingness flashed across its eyes. The Lord of the Blazing Sun. According to the report, this guy can command nearly 10 million troops, and each soldier is very strong. Even if the entire Titan kingdom is full of soldiers, our total military strength is only 5 million. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult even if we can fight them, Ro. The Titan king muttered to itself. The priest below the hall looked at its majesty's expression. It could roughly guess even though it could not hear its king clearly. Took the initiative to say, Your Majesty, I don't know where that human lord found tens of millions of troops. With such troops, he will definitely target our Titan kingdom's high-level elemental gem mine in order to quickly level up his territory. Even though the war between us and the other party has yet to begin, the future will definitely appear. We have to be prepared, the priest said solemnly. What does the priest have in mind? Just say it. The Titan king, Fins, glanced at it and said indifferently, Your Majesty, we were threatened by that human lord. Isn't the Netherbark kingdom, which is adjacent to that human lord, the same? I suggest that we join forces with the Netherbark kingdom and find a few allies to deal with that human lord together. The priest said respectfully. If it was in the past, the proud Titan king, Fins, would definitely not care about joining forces with other countries. But at this moment, Fins didn't say anything as it thought about the intelligence on the Lord of the Blazing Sun's military strength. It just pondered silently. Netherbark Kingdom. In the Pope's Palace. At this moment, the Pope's Palace had just finished the God-bestowing ceremony and completed the replacement of the new and old Pope. However, what the citizens of the underworld Bark Kingdom did not know was that just as the handover of their beloved new Pope ended, another simple and low-key funeral was held in the worship hall of the Gobi. In the worship hall, the new Pope, Floyd, and the old Pope, Cronin, were looking at the transparent crystal coffin surrounded by flowers in silence. There were no corpses in the transparent crystal coffin, only some simple clothes and relics. My master's death spirit servant actually died just like that. And on a day like today, Floyd had a head of resplendent, slightly curly blonde hair. His entire body emitted a faint golden luster, and he looked like a creature from Greek mythology. He looked at the death spirit servant, Sakomo's crystal coffin, and sighed. He did not look too regretful. He and the old Pope Cronin were from 2 different factions in the Pope's palace. There had always been many conflicts between them. The undead servant Sakomo belonged to the old Pope's faction. He was dead. Even though it was not a good thing for the entire Netherbark kingdom, that might not be the case to him. The old Pope Cronin glanced at Floyd and saw through his thoughts. I've already retired. Sakomo would have become your power sooner or later. Don't you feel sorry that he's dead? Aren't you afraid that you won't have enough experts when the human lord comes knocking on your door? Cronin asked in a deep voice. There were only him and Floyd here now, so he didn't care about some things and said them directly. Don't I feel sorry? Floyd was disdainful in his heart, but he pretended to be shocked. Then, he said arrogantly, our Netherbark kingdom is supported by the divine power of death. If that human lord dares to attack, we'll let him have a taste of being cursed by the divine power of death. When the time comes, he might not even dare to take half a step into our country. If he really dares to come over, don't blame me for taking the race divine artifact in his hand. The news that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had a divine artifact of the race had already been spread through the entire channel by the Lord of the Myriad Races, and many life forms knew about it. The Netherbark Kingdom was naturally one of them. The news that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had a divine artifact of the race had already been spread through the entire channel by the Lord of the Myriad Races, and many life forms knew about it. If he could snatch this race divine artifact and offer it to the god of death, perhaps he could take another step forward and become the Elven of Death by the god of death's side. When the time comes, the position of Pope that he had fought so hard for would be like child's play. On the other side, Pope Cronin did not refute Floyd's words. Take care of yourself. I hope that the Netherbark Kingdom can develop better in your hands. Cronin looked at Sakomo's clothes and belongings in the coffin and turned to walk towards the door. From the back, he seemed to have aged a lot. Floyd narrowed his eyes as he watched Cronin leave. What bad idea was this old thing thinking of to deal with me? After fighting with the old pope for so many years, he would not easily judge his true thoughts just because of his outward behavior. At this moment, the two of them suddenly sensed something and looked in the direction of Blazing Sun City. Someone's founded a kingdom. It should be that human lord. TSK, I don't need to think so much. I'm just an old man who has lost his position as pope. Cronin left without looking back. The new pope, Floyd, frowned. Originally, he was in a good mood because he had become the new pope, but now, because of the new human kingdom, his mood had become much worse. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Race divine artifact. Floyd's deep voice came from the temple in the Blazing Sun City. Zhou Zhou naturally did not know that so many other life forms had so many other thoughts just as he was about to establish a kingdom. He was looking at the text notification that appeared in front of him. Kingdom notification. Lord of the Blazing Sun, you have used the kingdom token. Do you want to officially upgrade your territory to a kingdom-level lord's territory?
Yes.
Zhou Zhou immediately said, do you wish to use the Blazing Sun territory, extraordinary tier regional territory, as your royal capital region?
Yes.
Please set your kingdom name. The Blazing Sun Kingdom. Zhou Zhou was already prepared for this and immediately replied, your world channel ID has changed. Your current world channel ID is Blazing Sun Kingdom, Lord of the Blazing Sun. You have successfully established your own kingdom. The announcement that Zhou Zhou had been waiting for finally appeared. Lord of all races Lord announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun for successfully establishing the first kingdom. Rewards. Mythical tier treasure chest +1. Novice kingdom treasure chest +1. Reputation rating +10. Mythical reputation rating +1. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun. A smile appeared on Zhou Zhou's face. His heart was filled with joy. Finally, the kingdom that I have been longing for is finally established. At this moment, the text notification appeared again. Novice King Hint 1. Your kingdom has just been established. Your reputation will gradually spread in the nearby area. The living beings in the area will gradually know of your kingdom's existence. Please be prepared to deal with the subsequent kingdom affairs. Novice King Hint 2. You have the authority to establish a kingdom channel. This kingdom channel can accommodate up to 100 million subjects. Novice King Hint 3. You have the authority to publish the kingdom announcement. After publishing the kingdom announcement, All subjects in the Kingdom channel will be informed of the news you released immediately. Novice King Hint 4. The Kingdom channel is only owned by the lords of the myriad races. The local lords cannot own the Kingdom channel. Kingdom channel? Kingdom announcement? Only the lord of all races have it. Other local lords can't have it? Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. So this is the rights of a kingdom? Indeed, it is too different from being an ordinary lord of all races. He looked at the bottom left corner of his field of vision. As expected, he found a new icon in the middle of the world channel and the marketplace. This icon had a simple king character, and behind it was a golden flag. It was the icon of the Kingdom channel. Zhou Zhou opened it. He realized that this Kingdom channel was very similar to the world channel of the Lord of Cerulean Planet. There were 3 functions: personal information, Kingdom channel, and friend list. However, it lacked the most important function of the marketplace. Zhou Zhou felt that it was a pity. During his growth, the marketplace had definitely played a role that was not inferior to the legendary tier Lord talent. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the Kingdom channel. Otherwise, his subjects would be much more comfortable. In addition to these functions, Zhou Zhou also discovered a Kingdom channel function that belonged solely to him. King function. Zhou Zhou opened it. He discovered that this King function had a series of functions such as silence, chat administrator, setting, publishing the Kingdom announcement, searching for subject information. It looked quite complete. Zhou Zhou clicked on one of the subject joining functions and saw a full page of subject names appear in front of him. There were 100 people on each page. Zhou Zhou looked at the bottom page and realized that there were more than 110,000 pages. In other words, there were more than 11 million people. There were about 4 million subjects under him. These 11 million people should include the lords and subjects under his command. Zhou Zhou chose all the subjects and pulled them in. Right on the heels of that, Zhou Zhou saw the number of subjects in the Kingdom channel jump from 0 to 54,612. The next second, it directly rose to 227,786. In the next moment, more than 10 million people joined his Kingdom channel. The others who hadn't joined yet probably hadn't realized what was going on, so they didn't dare to join rashly. Thinking of this, he opened the Kingdom announcement. After thinking for a while, he began to fill in the contents of the announcement. He finished writing it in no time and chose to publish it. All the subjects of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, including the lords of the Star Alliance and their subordinates, suddenly saw rows of text notifications. Blazing Sun Kingdom announcement. Subjects, I have good news for everyone. From today onwards, our Blazing Sun territory has officially advanced from an ordinary lord's territory to a kingdom-level lord's territory. We are the first lord faction among the lord of all races to advance to the territory of a kingdom-level lord. This means that we are at the forefront of the lord of all races. This is the glory that belongs to all the subjects of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. In addition, you should have seen the Kingdom channel's invitation that just appeared. Everyone, don't be afraid. I posted this. You can just enter normally. In the future, you can communicate normally on this channel and can even exchange information. In order to celebrate the founding of the kingdom, all the items in the territory contribution system would be exchanged at a 50% discount for a month from today onwards. In a month, the price will return to normal. I hope that all subjects will seize the opportunity to increase their strength and better survive on the high continent. The Blazing Sun territory. All the subjects who saw this kingdom announcement were stunned at first before erupting with joy. As subjects of the Blazing Sun territory, they knew very well how many good things there were in their exchange system, especially the military merit exchange system. Now, their lord, no, His Majesty the King was actually willing to sell it at a 50% discount. It was as if they could already see their strength and family background rapidly increasing in the future. After Zhou Zhou released the kingdom announcement, he immediately looked at the Kingdom channel. At this moment, the Kingdom channel was already bustling with activity. Many subjects who had just arrived were cheering for the official advancement of the Blazing Sun territory to a kingdom faction. At the same time, they were also amazed by the wonders of the Kingdom channel. Of course, the latter subjects did not include Linger, the Green Phoenix Lord, and the other lords of the myriad races in their subordinate territory. They had already experienced the world channel of the Lord of Cerulean Planet, so their reaction to the familiar functions of the Kingdom Channel was naturally mediocre. But even so, they were a little surprised that the lords of all races could actually obtain the authority to establish a Kingdom Channel after establishing a kingdom. Because of this, the Lord of the Blazing Sun's status in their hearts skyrocketed once again. At this moment, many lords of the Star Alliance had already gone to the World Channel to show off. Zhou Zhou smiled at this. He was not in a hurry to see the reactions of the lords of Cerulean Planet on the World Channel. Instead, he looked at the current number of subjects on the Kingdom Channel. The number of subjects in the Kingdom Channel had already reached 11,251,563. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. This number meant that almost all his subjects had entered his Kingdom Channel. The Kingdom Channel has a maximum number of 100 million subjects. I shouldn't have to worry about exceeding the limit for the time being, Zhou Zhou thought to himself. In addition, even if he surpassed them in the future, he did not think it would matter. There was a limit of 100 million subjects in a beginner kingdom. After reaching the intermediate kingdom or even higher, the upper limit of the number of subjects in this Kingdom Channel should increase. He stopped thinking and opened the World Channel of the Lord of Cerulean Planet. It was not beyond his expectations. At this moment, the entire World Channel was discussing the matter of him establishing a kingdom. Awesome! The first kingdom of the Cerulean Planet Lords. It's also the first kingdom of the entire Lord of all races. Big Boss Blazing Sun is King Awesome. Shouts at the top of my lungs. He has earned a lot of face. Dragon Lady Lord. All Lord members of the Dragon Blood Alliance, congratulate Your Majesty on establishing the number 1 kingdom of the Cerulean Planet. Overlord Lord. All Lord members of the Overlord Association, congratulations Your Majesty on establishing the number 1 kingdom of the Cerulean Planet. The number 1 kingdom of all races. Undead Lord. The Undead Alliance congratulates Your Majesty for establishing the number 1 kingdom on the Cerulean Planet. The number 1 kingdom of all races. Wow, so many big bosses appeared in the same frame together. We're really witnessing history today. You're still lamenting about witnessing history, but the Smart Me has already taken a screenshot. You're still taking screenshots. The Smart Me has already started recording. You're still recording. The far-sighted me has long joined the Star Alliance. D***M*. I'm willing to call that a killer move. Boo-hoo, I want to join the Star Alliance too, but the event is over. I can't even exchange for the Master-Servant territory contract now. In short, it's good to cozy up to Big Boss Blazing Sun. What big shot? Can't you see how those big shots address him? Call him Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Big Boss Blazing Sun has already become a king. Is it time to consider the harem? Cough cough. I have a little sister who's beautiful. Your Majesty, do you want to take a look? In this day and age, there are people fighting to be a bootlicker. It's too difficult. If you can't be a bootlicker, you can lick the hook for His Majesty. Hook? Which hook? Blazing Sun Kingdom. Lord of the Blazing Sun, strongest lord of all races. His Majesty has appeared. Capture His Majesty quickly. Hold on to the person above. Hold on tight. The main character has appeared. I hope that in the upcoming war in the territory, I will kill gods and Buddhas. Zhou Zhou turned off the World Channel speechlessly. Every time something big happened, there would always be a few people among the lords of the Cerulean Planet that made him speechless. In addition, he could tell something. Fewer lords who dared to openly mock him on the World Channel as his strength and his achievement increased. They were almost extinct. This was the benefit of strength. When there was not much difference in strength between him and the other party still dared to openly mock him and conspire against him using the World Channel. When the disparity in strength was large enough for the other party to look up to, all kinds of jealousy, resentment, and anger would disappear or be hidden in the deepest depths. Zhou Zhou did not let down his guard even though he was very happy to see this situation. Their lords were competitors after all. In the future, When he encountered other lords of Cerulean Planet during the expansion of his territory, they would definitely fight them if they did not want to surrender. Furthermore, he would not stop himself from becoming stronger just because the other party was a lord of the same race. Therefore, he would start a war with the other party. This was something that was bound to happen between lords of all races. They were enemies after all. However, unlike the people of foreign races, they were of the same race. I hope that all the lords of Cerulean Planet I meet in the future will surrender to me. Otherwise, I'll have to fight them. Even though Zhou Zhou was cautious, he also felt that it would be very difficult to find a lord who could fight him among the lords of Cerulean Planet. This was evident from the battlefield of the Lord of all races. Other than him, only a few lords on the Cerulean Planet had reached the epic tier. However, he was the only one who could surpass the legendary tier and mythical tier and reach the top of the myriad races. He did not think too much about it and looked at the rewards for the Lord of all races. First was the 10 reputation rating and 1 mythical reputation rating. This meant that tomorrow, he would have another 10 talents attracted by his reputation rating and 1 mythical tier talent join his territory. He then looked at the 2 treasure chests. First was the mythical tier treasure chest. Zhou Zhou opened it and saw a piece of paper emitting a faint golden light. He picked it up and looked at it. A text notification appeared. Treasure name: Hero Slot Advancement Book. Treasure grade: True God tier. Treasure effect: after using it, any hero of any race can immediately upgrade their hero slot to the True God tier hero fate level. Treasure description: a precious treasure that can greatly increase the fate level of low-level heroes. The highest level can be upgraded to the True God tier hero's fate level. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. What a good treasure! But who should he give this hero slot advancement book to? Zhou Zhou now had a total of 9 heroes under his command, including Mechanical Father, Zhou Zhou. They had contributed to the territory, and there was not much of a difference between their contributions to heroes. However, there was only 1 hero slot advancement book. It was really difficult to decide if he wanted to give it to a suitable hero. He thought for a while, then suddenly smiled. With a thought, Mechanical Father, Zhou Zhou was summoned. There you go. Use it well. Don't let both me and you down. Zhou Zhou directly threw the hero slot advancement book to him. Mechanical Father, Zhou Zhou nodded calmly and left to find a room to use. Zhou Zhou watched this scene calmly. There were 2 reasons why he handed this hero slot advancement book to his Machina race clone. First, enhance his own strength so that his life preservation ability would be stronger in the battle between lords of the myriad races. No matter when or where, survival was always his top priority. Only with life would there be a future. And powerful strength was always the first way to save one's life. Second, Zhou Zhou was confident that after his strength increased exponentially, he would repay his subordinates in the future so that his subordinate strength and hero slots would also increase exponentially. This was his confidence in his future. That was why he had given this hero slot advancement book to his Machina race clone. While Mechanical Father, Zhou Zhou was leveling up, Zhou Zhou looked at another Novice Kingdom treasure chest. This treasure chest was black and gold in color and looked extremely noble. After he opened it, he found a sword inside. Zhou Zhou widened his eyes and could not help but take a deep breath. It was actually the second incomplete sword of Xian Yuan. Its sword was engraved with the sun, moon, and stars. Faint starlight spread out, as if stars were circulating. It was very mysterious. Sun, moon, star sword? Zhou Zhou whispered. Information about the divine artifact appeared. Race divine artifact name: Incomplete sword of Xian Yuan. Equipment grade: unique in the race. Race divine artifact ability 1: Sun, moon, star sword. All humans on Cerulean Planet will be illuminated by the light of the sun, moon, and stars, increasing their potential by a small level. Lords with swords and their subjects will be loved by the sun, moon, and stars, and their potential will increase by a large level. Race divine artifact ability 2: Mountain, river plants, and tree sword. Unknown. You need to collect and fuse the mountain, river, plant, and tree faces of the sword of Xian Yuan to activate this race divine artifact ability. Race Divine Artifact Ability 4, Heaven and Earth Unification Sword. Unknown. To activate this race's divine artifact ability, you need to collect and fuse the hilt of the Sword of Xian Yuan's Heaven and Earth Unification. Introduction to the Race Divine Artifact. Sword of Xian Yuan, also known as the Xian Yuan Xiaoyu Sword. One side of the sword is engraved with the sun, moon, and stars, while the other side is carved with mountains, rivers, plants, and trees. The hilt is filled with the art of agriculture husbandry sword, and the other side contains the strategy of unifying the world. It contains endless power. It does not only kill demons, it is also one of the important reliances of the Cerulean Planet Lord in fighting for the position of Lord of all races on the High Continent. When Zhou Zhou saw the effect of the Sun Moon Star Sword, he immediately gasped. This Sun Moon Star Sword could actually increase the potential of the human race on the Cerulean planet. Furthermore, the other humans on the Cerulean planet would only advance by a small level. However, he and the subjects under him could advance by a large level. Green Bronze tier potential directly became White Silver tier potential. His extraordinary tier potential directly turned into epic tier potential. Zhou Zhou immediately called by Yun and the others over through the army panel. While they were rushing over, Zhou Zhou also opened the world channel. Then, he saw countless identical comments. Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty! Millions of comments appeared every second on the world channel, and these comments were all, "Long live His Majesty," without exception. Zhou Zhou laughed. It seemed that they had also seen the attributes of the Race Divine Artifact. He looked at the Kingdom channel. He realized that the situation on the Kingdom channel was similar. The only difference was that even though the subjects in the Kingdom channel were not as many as the lords in the Cerulean Planet Lords in the World channel, they shouted the craziest and most loyal. They were subjects under his command after all. Their potentials had increased by a large level. This was equivalent to the grace of being reborn. Who wouldn't go crazy? Originally, I was a little worried that because of the blessing of the war god, the subject's strength would increase too quickly, causing their potential to be unable to keep up. It's fine now. With the potential of this sword of Xian Yuan, Sun Moon Star Sword, coupled with the Dragon Slayer's talent, Song and Bloodbath, it can increase the strength of the subjects and not be limited by their potential. Next, the strength of my subjects will increase. It should welcome an explosive period. A smile appeared on Zhou Zhou's face. Even though the Dragon Slayer talent, Song and Bloodbath, was very effective, it could only be improved by killing high-level bloodline life forms and bathing in their blood. There were many restrictions. The final battlefield was gone after all. The enemies they would encounter in the future might not be high-level bloodline life forms. It was not even certain if it was a life form or if it had blood. For example, the Machina race and the Elemental race. Killing life forms of such races would not trigger Song and Bloodbath to increase the strength of his Dragon Slayer. Therefore, in comparison, it was safer to directly increase his potential. At this moment, his friend list was filled with all kinds of messages. Zhou Zhou casually opened Linger's message. Spiritual Medicine Lord, Big Brother. I just saw the news about the race's divine artifact. Big Brother, you're amazing. You obtained another portion of the Sword of Xian Yuan. Lord of the Blazing Sun, I'm keeping a low profile. By the way, how did it display on your end? Linger didn't reply but sent a screenshot instead. Zhou Zhou looked at it. Sword of Xian Yuan, Sun Moon Star Sword. All human lords on Cerulean planet are illuminated by the light of the sun, moon, and stars. Their potential has increased by a small level. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. The light of the sun, moon, and stars? He pondered for a while, then walked out of his room and looked up at the stars in the sky. He could vaguely feel it. The stars that filled the sky were faintly emitting starlight that shone on his body. Then, it turned into wisps of cool energy that nourished his body. I wonder how much potential I have now. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. There was no potential in the Lord information interface of the Lords of all races. Only when the Lords of all races lost their status as Lords would their specific potential be revealed. Then, He carefully felt his body. After a while, he frowned slightly. Logically speaking, it's already a huge increase in my potential to increase by a major level. Why don't I feel any change in my own potential? Don't tell me. My potential already at the Master God tier advanced grade? Zhou Zhou frowned and muttered to himself. Master God tier advanced grade. It was the limit of the potential of all the life forms of the various races. Anything above it would already involve the domain of the Supreme God realm. That was no longer something that could be determined by one's potential. He took out another sword of Xian Yuan, the agriculture husbandry sword, as he thought about this question. At this moment, he held the sword of Xian Yuan in his left hand, the agriculture husbandry sword, and the Sun Moon Star sword in his right hand. The two broken swords seemed to have sensed each other, and their surfaces emitted a faint white fluorescent light. A text notification appeared. Do you want to fuse? Sure enough, it can be fused. Fuse. Zhou Zhou immediately said. The two swords shone brightly. Then a luxurious golden sword appeared in his hand. Its blade was divided into 4 sides. At this moment, there were already 2 sword faces carved with the contents of the sun, moon, and stars, as well as farming. As for the other 2 sides of the sword, they were empty. Zhou Zhou looked at the attributes of the sword of Xian Yuan and realized that there were no changes. It was just a simple fusion of functions. He was slightly disappointed. He thought that it would produce some additional stats. Perhaps after I gather the complete sword of Xian Yuan, its species divine artifact stats will change? Zhou Zhou had some guesses. Zhou Zhou looked at the sword of Xian Yuan in his hand. Even though the fusion of the 2 swords did not produce any new divine artifact stats, Zhou Zhou was very satisfied with the effect of the Sun Moon Star Sword. At this moment, Bai Yun, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, Luo Sheng, and the others walked over. Nazario, Auguste, Horace, and the other dragons also flew over. Greetings, my lord. Everyone in the dragons said respectfully. Can you feel the changes in your body? Zhou Zhou nodded and smiled. I can feel it. My potential has increased by a large level, and I've directly reached the legendary tier advanced grade. Feng Luo couldn't hide the excitement in his eyes. As a hero with an epic tier hero fate level slot, his potential was only at the epic tier advanced grade. After the upgrade of the Sun Moon Star Sword, he had directly jumped to the legendary tier advanced grade. This potential was already comparable to the potential of a legendary tier hero in the fate level. My potential has increased to a low-level deity advanced grade. Bai Yun smiled. During this period of time, her hero fate level had officially transformed from the legendary tier hero fate level, fake, to the real legendary tier hero fate level through killing enemy country heroes with her companions. At the same time, her potential also increased to legendary tier advanced grade. And now, her potential had already broken through the limitations of normal life forms and had the potential to become a god. She would also be a true god spirit even if it was only the divine potential of a low-level deity advanced grade. It was no longer the same as life forms below the legendary tier. Zhou Zhou looked at the others. When the others saw this, they also stood up and reported the improvement of their potential. Among them, the potential of the Dragon Horse Spear General, Wu Xian, had increased from an epic tier advanced grade to a legendary tier advanced grade. Soul Arrow, Wu Tu's potential rose from epic tier advanced grade to legendary tier advanced grade. The advancement of the Ghost God General, Luo Sheng, was more terrifying. This time, after the upgrade of the Sun Moon Star Sword, he had directly jumped from to true God tier elementary grade. The Night Rakshasa Sword God, Suan's potential increase was the most terrifying. This was because he had the potential to become true God tier advanced grade. However, he had now directly advanced from a true God tier advanced grade to a master God tier advanced grade. His potential had shockingly reached the limit of the world. Butcher, Guo Xiao's potential was more ridiculous. As a dragon slayer, his potential was only at the green bronze tier intermediate grade. Now, even with the improvement of the Sun Moon Star Sword, his potential was only at the white silver tier intermediate grade. Even so, Guo Xiao still looked relieved. Fortunately, my potential didn't increase greatly. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a pure dragon slayer. With that, He looked at everyone except Zhou Zhou with a strange expression. Everyone was speechless. You don't have to look at people like that. We're all humans. Our bloodlines aren't noble. Zhou Zhou coughed lightly and said, "That's true." Guo Qiao retracted his gaze and could not help but glance at Nazario and the others. Nazario and the other dragons subconsciously trembled. Then, they suddenly reacted. What was there to be afraid of? They might be dragons, but they were also dragon slayers. At the thought of this, they stared at Guo Qiao until he looked uncomfortable before looking away. Zhou Zhou smiled when he saw this. Instead, they stared at Guo Qiao until he looked uncomfortable before looking away. Zhou Zhou sighed. Back then, Nazario was the #1 combatant and the #1 potential subordinate in his territory. And now, it was actually starting to lose its ranking. He smiled. This also meant that his territory was developing rapidly. However, Nazario had contributed greatly to the development of his territory. If he could find treasures to increase its potential in the future, he had to help Nazario do just that. Zhou Zhou hoped to see the final scenery of the Lord's path with his old subordinates as long as they did not betray him. Your Majesty, this is the list of the increase in the strength of the soldiers after passing the Triumph Gate. Among these soldiers, there are also the Lords of the Star Alliance today. Let's turn around 20% of the troops. At this moment, Bai Yun walked over with a list and handed it to Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou took it and read it. Today, the Lords of the Star Alliance had used insight defection on a total of 1,035,900 monsters. The 20% of the troops that were transferred to Zhou Zhou had 207,180 fog monsters. In addition to the 158,575 Titan soldiers, he had insight defection on his own. This meant that he had a total of 3,271,277 soldiers under him. After the Triumphal Arches upgrade, most of these soldiers had improved in strength. Among the soldiers under his command, there were 327,131 Black Iron Tier soldiers. There were 241,529 Green Bronze Tier soldiers. There were 719,600 White Silver Tier soldiers. There were 541,712 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers. There were 459,612 White Platinum Tier soldiers. Diamond Tier 287,152 soldiers. 15 Extraordinary Tier soldiers. Guo Qiao was promoted to Epic Tier Advanced Grade. Feng Luo had been promoted to Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. Bai Yun had advanced to the Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade. Luo Sheng had advanced to the Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade. Wu Tu was upgraded to Diamond Tier Intermediate Grade. Nazario was upgraded to Diamond Tier Intermediate Grade. The original Spirit Race, Ansel, had broken through to White Platinum Tier Intermediate Grade. The strength of the other generals did not change for the time being. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Now, his troops, together with the Star Alliance's total troops, had officially broken through 10 million, reaching more than 10.22 million troops. Not bad, not bad. Such a military force was already considered to be completely overwhelming in the beginner kingdoms that he knew of. If that's the case, we'll attack the Titan Kingdom or the Netherbark Kingdom tomorrow. A cold glint flashed across Zhou Zhou's eyes. Zhou Zhou did not have a good impression of these two foreign races who dared to snatch food from his mouth. It just so happened that his kingdom was newly built. He would use these two beginner kingdoms to pave a fierce reputation for his new kingdom. This would prevent some ignorant kingdoms from thinking that his kingdom was a soft persimmon just because it had just been established. How's your discussion going? Zhou Zhou retracted his thoughts and looked at Bai Yun and the rest. Vice City Lord Zheng and the others are still discussing. Before we left, they were discussing the founding celebration, the kingdom's laws, and the official title of the kingdom's officials. They should still be discussing it now. Bai Yun reported respectfully. My lord, you are now the ruler of a new kingdom after all. There are some important kingdom decisions that require your personal approval. Otherwise, they might discuss it for a long time, and it won't come to a conclusion. Moreover, there are some national matters that they don't dare to discuss without you around. Wu Exine said. He had been an official in the court for many years, so he naturally knew that the upper echelons of the territory needed Zhou Zhou to be present. You guys go back and continue the discussion. I have something on now. I'll go to your place later. Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and said, Yes, my lord. No one had any objections. A moment later, in the meeting room of the beginner grade Lord's Paradise, Zhou Zhou looked at the three people in front of him. They were Mu Gu, Zhang Fuguwei, and Carol Momoira. Same rules. Tell me about your improvements. Zhou Zhou said. Mu Gu was the first to stand up out of habit. He respectfully said, Reporting to your majesty, after the territory was promoted to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade, my strength also increased to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. My various skills also increased to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Moreover, the number of monster ranches that I can manage had already reached 36. The maximum capacity of each monster ranch has also increased from 15,000 to 20,000. The upper limit of the monsters that can be nurtured has also increased to the level of White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou Zhou nodded. The 2 new monster ranches will be used to nurture the violent storm demon spirit. Zhou Zhou said, Yes, your majesty. Mu Gu said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded and looked at Zhang Fuguwei. Zhang Fuguwei stood up with a chuckle. Your majesty. The number of mysterious vendors in the mysterious caravan has increased from 1,000 to 1,500. All the mysterious merchants' abilities have been upgraded to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Our number of carriages has also increased to 1,500. In addition, the mysterious business ring that each of us was given by the Supreme will has also increased from 30,000 cubic meters to 80,000 cubic meters. We can transport more goods now. This is the improvement of our mysterious caravan. This is for you. See if we can sell it for a good price. It's best if we can exchange it for some treasures. After some thought, Zhou Zhou took out the 3 Emperor's gems and threw them to Zhang Fuguwei. Zhang Fuguwei took it subconsciously. When he saw the 3 Emperor's gems in his hands, his eyes lit up and he kept them solemnly. I will definitely bring back satisfactory goods for your majesty. Zhang Fuguwei said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded. Actually, he did not have much hope. How much could it be worth no matter how high the grade of a gem without any attributes was? How expensive was the gift? When Zhang Fuguwei saw this, he did not say much and sat back down. Carol Moeli stood up calmly. Your Majesty. After our territory was upgraded to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade, the Shelter of the Goddess of Life was also upgraded to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. We have 3,000 clergymen, 3,000 priests, 3,000 nuns, and 10,000 paladins of life in our shelter now. In addition, the strength of all the clergymen has also increased to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. And my strength has also increased from Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade to Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Now that he had many soldiers, the casualties in the battle also increased greatly. The Shelter of the Goddess of Life was the foundation for his soldiers to maintain a 0 casualty rate. And now, its strengthening could be said to be the most useful strengthening for Zhou Zhou at the moment. You guys can go back. Carol Moeli, get ready. I might let you resurrect 2 heroes later. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, your majesty. The 3 of them said respectfully. Then, he left. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou also left and walked towards the Night Temple. Night Temple. When Zhou Zhou arrived, he happened to see Bai He and Rob Allen chatting at the door. Greetings, Temple Lord. Greetings, Lord Silver Fallen Star. Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before saying respectfully, You're incredible. How many days has it been since he came to the High Continent? He's already established a kingdom. But he didn't say anything. Rob Allen could not help but sigh. Luck. Zhou Zhou said humbly. Building the first kingdom among the Lord of all races is not something that can be done by luck alone. You're good. But he looked at Zhou Zhou with admiration. Do you know? You are the fastest human to establish a kingdom without the help of external forces. He said seriously. Zhou Zhou was stunned. He did not expect to break a record. However, his heart was as calm as water. He did not feel much emotions because of this matter, but he sighed with emotion upon seeing this. It seemed that after this kid appeared on the entire channel of the Lord of all races twice, the situation had completely changed. He would not become unstable just because of a little achievement. Rob Allen, who was beside him, did not even manage to do that. If this had happened to Rob Allen, he would probably be overjoyed. You didn't come here just to report good news, did you? But he came back to his senses and asked. Yes. Zhou Zhou nodded. I've gathered the resources to resurrect 2 more heroes. Come, follow me to the heroic spirit hall. Baihe's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Then, he pulled Zhou Zhou and walked quickly in the direction of the Hall of Heroes. A moment later, Zhou Zhou came to the shelter of the Goddess of Life with the relics of the Soul Mage, Izzy and the Flaming Saber King, to revive them. After resurrecting the 2 heroes, Zhou Zhou chatted with them briefly before bringing them to the Night Temple and handing them over to Baihe. At this point, Zhou Zhou's debt was completely paid off. He walked towards the administrative hall, debt-free. In the administrative hall, when Zhou Zhou and the others approached, they heard intense discussions coming from inside. As a newly established kingdom, I don't think it's a good idea for our Blazing Sun Kingdom to follow the laws of the Aurora Kingdom. I was the former Prime Minister of the Aurora Kingdom and personally presided over the repair of the laws of the Aurora Kingdom. I'm very confident in establishing the laws of the kingdom. Furthermore, I won't completely copy them. I'll make specific changes according to the situation of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. How about the flag of the Blazing Sun Kingdom with the sun as the main body? There's no problem with using the sun as the main body of the flag, but I personally feel that it can't be just the sun. It's too monotonous. Fair enough. The founding ceremony should be held in a grand manner. Of course. That's right. Our king is the founding king, not the successor. If we don't make a big fuss, wouldn't it seem too low-key? When Zhou Zhou heard these discussions, he could not help but smile. He walked in. When everyone saw him, they immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Greetings, Your Majesty. Everyone shouted. Continue chatting. I'll listen from the side. If I have anything to say, I'll say it directly. If you have anything to ask me, just tell me directly. Zhou Zhou nodded and naturally sat on the main seat. Then, he said with a faint smile. Everyone looked at each other and respectfully replied, yes. Then, everyone started discussing again like before. In the beginning, everyone was still a little careful. However, when they saw that their emperor didn't do anything, they became bold and started discussing intensely like before. During this period, Zhou Zhou also discussed his thoughts with everyone. When it was difficult for everyone to make a decision, they would take the initiative to discuss with Zhou Zhou. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than 3 hours passed. It was already late at night. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou asked everyone to go back and rest. The matters of the kingdom could be slowly discussed in the future. Everyone nodded and went back. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he returned to his beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. Beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. Martial arts practice field. Zhou Zhou looked at the 3 corpses in front of him. It was the corpses of the 4-armed Mara King, the Iron Fang King, and the Death Spirit Servant, Sakomo, that they had killed on the battlefield today. The corpses of 3 people of foreign races. These are 3 hero inheritance secret manuals. Zhou Zhou looked excited. Even though he already had 9 heroes under his command. As far as he knew, there were more than 100 Elven heroes in some veteran Empire-level factions, such as the Elven Empire. This was not including the heroes of the people of foreign races who had submitted to the Elven Empire. Therefore, the more heroes he needed, the better. Only then would he be able to catch up to those veteran lords. He stopped thinking about it. Zhou Zhou placed his hand on the 4-armed Mara King. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent notification. Your loots have been enhanced by the King of Loots, Perfect Loots. Grade +1. Title hint. Your loots have been affected by the title of the Strongest Lord. The number of loots has increased by 150%. Lord Talent notification. You have obtained Perfect Loots, 100 Mist Cores, Epic Tier. 800 origin crystals, 1 epic tier intermediate heroic skill, 4-faced 8 arms, 1 epic tier intermediate heroic skill, Moro formless combat technique, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment, broken moon meteor halberd, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment, mountain crushing axe, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment, sunset saber, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment, soul refining cauldron, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment, intermediate grade skill book, Moro halberd, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment, Moro dynasty, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment Moro blade, 3 epic tier equipment, Moro axe, 3 epic tier intermediate equipment Moro cauldron, 1 pious tier scarlet crystals, 1 epic tier intermediate grade hero inheritance secret manual, 9 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments. Whoosh! The four-armed Mara king's corpse instantly turned into a ray of light and flew into the king's treasure box in his glabella space. A smile appeared on Zhou Zhou's face. 150% additional loots, coupled with the 100% loots that he already had, normally speaking, one loot would become 2.5 loots. However, he had taken a rounding method here, so there were 3. In addition, this four-armed Mara king was born with 4 arms. When it was alive, it could control 4 different weapons to fight at the same time, and could use each weapon in an orderly manner. Now, 12 epic tier intermediate grade weapons and 12 epic tier intermediate grade skill books have dropped. Awesome! In addition, it was indeed much more convenient to retrieve the loots with this king's treasure box. In the future, he would not have to worry about the phenomenon of him extracting loots being discovered by outsiders. Lord Talent Notification. You have obtained perfect loots, 80 mist cores, epic tier, 650 origin crystals, 1 epic tier intermediate grade hero skill, steel teeth bite, 1 epic tier intermediate grade hero skill, 1000 fist destruction, 3 epic tier intermediate grade equipment, mountain fist weapons, 3 epic tier intermediate grade equipment, rock armor, 3 epic tier intermediate grade skill book, broken you barbarian fist, 3 epic tier intermediate grade skill book long. Ranged Raid, 3 epic tier intermediate grade skill book Shake the Ground, 3 racial talent spheres, epic tier intermediate grade, 1 pious tier scarlet crystals, 1 epic tier intermediate grade hero inheritance secret manual, 20 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments. There's even racial talent? That's right. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. This Titan race was not a scarlet monster, but a life form of the people of foreign races. The fact that it could drop a racial talent sphere meant that this race's talent was indeed not bad. No wonder it could protect the high-level gem resources in the country in front of the other 3 countries alone. Zhou Zhou solemnly put away the other loots and took out the epic tier elementary grade race talent spheres. He looked over. Treasure name: Roar Spirit Devour. Treasure grade: epic tier intermediate grade. Treasure effect: after using it, the user will automatically possess the innate ability of the Titan race, Roar Spirit Devour. With a Titan roar, living beings far weaker than the user can be sucked into the user's stomach, turning into life force and a portion of promotion energy to strengthen themselves and increase their realm. Treasure description: the racial talent of the Titan race. After using it, you will possess the racial talent of this race. Zhou Zhou looked at this innate ability and his expression turned serious. The Titan race should have relied on this innate ability to invade the Aurora Kingdom countless times and devour the subjects of the Aurora Kingdom in the past. However, even though this method was a little bloody, it was undeniable that its innate ability was indeed very strong. Especially in terms of clearing miscellaneous soldiers, it could be said to be a divine skill. Zhou Zhou chose to learn without hesitation. The law did not differentiate between good and evil, and between the people who used it. Zhou Zhou naturally would not use this innate ability to kill the innocent. Then, he looked at the corpse of the last death spirit servant, Sakomo. He naturally would not forget that this guy still had a Holy Spirit tier Faith Divine crystal on him. Zhou Zhou extracted the other party's loots without hesitation. At the same time, with a thought, he chose to trigger the special loots that the Lucky Star gave him once a day. Lord Talent Notification: you've obtained perfect loots, 50 mist cores, legendary tier, 2,500 origin crystals, 1 legendary tier elementary grade enhanceable hero skill God of Death descends, 1 legendary tier elementary grade enhanceable hero skill ultimate, slash of death. 3 legendary tier elementary grade equipment black absolute ghost blade. 3 legendary tier elementary grade equipment black absolute ghost armor. 3 legendary tier elementary grade skill book Angel of Death. Combat notes: 3 legendary tier elementary grade skill book Angel of Death's Refuge. 1 holy spirit tier scarlet crystals. 1 legendary tier elementary grade hero inheritance secret manual. 13 green bronze tier elementary grade lord talent crystal fragments. Lucky star hint: you have obtained a special loot's death invitation letter. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He had obtained the holy spirit tier scarlet crystals. After being purified by the shelter of the goddess of life, it would be another holy spirit tier faith divine crystal. This time, he really had 3 holy spirit tier faith divine crystals. We have to keep them. I already have 9 heroes under my command. Now, there are 3 more hero inheritance secret manuals. The number of heroes under me will be 12 after using it. There are only 3 holy spirit tier faith divine crystals. It feels like there's never enough. Zhou Zhou sighed. Holy spirit tier faith divine crystals were indeed good things. However, there were too few of them. He could only obtain this much even though he was the king of loots. He shook her head. He did not think too much about it and looked at the special loots dropped by Lucky Star. It was a black invitation letter the size of 2 palms. The edges of the invitation letter were white, and when one looked at it, there was a faint aura of death. Zhou Zhou looked at it. A text notification appeared. Treasure name, death invitation letter. Treasure grade. Treasure effect, an invitation letter casually written by the god of death, Thanatos. It said that the living being who obtains the invitation letter can request the god of death to take action and bring death to the enemy who has recently attacked the owner of the invitation letter. Treasure introduction. Don't hold too much hope. Look carefully. It's just a request. It depends on the god of death's mood to make a move or not. Zhou Zhou. This treasure was indeed very good. However, what did the final introduction of the treasure mean? It depended on the god of death's mood? So, whether this treasure could be used depended entirely on the god of death's good mood. That's not exactly good. No one said that god of death would definitely make a move if he was in a good mood after all. Zhou Zhou cursed in his heart. He had already offered the Holy Spirit tier faith divine crystal to the god of death twice. If the god of death really did not respond to his request, he would never go to the god of death temple again. From now on, he will visit the shelter of the goddess of life every day. The Holy Spirit tier faith divine crystal was only reserved for the goddess of life. From the god of death's attitude in the past, he probably valued the Holy Spirit tier faith divine crystal very much. When the time came, he would not offer the god of death the Holy Spirit tier faith divine crystal. Let's see what he will do. Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and put away the death invitation letter. Let's save it for later. What if it is useful in the future? Then, he took out the 3 hero inheritance secret manuals from the box and looked at them. Treasure name, Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Grade, Epic Tier Intermediate Grade. Treasure ability, you can obtain the hero inheritance of the 6-armed serpent dragon emperor, Jik, after using it. Introduction, I am the king with 6 weapons, the 6-armed serpent dragon emperor, Jik. Treasure name, Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Grade, Epic Tier Intermediate Grade. Treasure ability, after using it, you can obtain the Bloody King of Fighters, Zero. Introduction, enjoy the cries from the arena and the audience. Bloody King of Fighters, Zero. Treasure name, Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Grade, Epic Tier Intermediate Grade. Treasure ability, after using it, you can obtain the Elven of Death, Charlot. Introduction, death is the home of all living beings. Elven of Death, Charlot. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. The 3 upgraded versions of the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual looked good. How should he use it? Zhou Zhou touched his chin and thought of something. He opened the military merit panel and set up a military merit quests. Military merit quests, War Hero. Quest content. In the upcoming war, the first 3 soldiers who perform outstandingly and are loyal to the territory will have the chance to become heroes. Mission duration: 5 days. Note 1. This quest will be decided by the joint evaluation and discussion of all the heroes in the territory. All heroes must abide by the principle of fair, open, and fair evaluation. They are not allowed to bend the law for personal gain and are not allowed to evaluate randomly. Otherwise, they will be severely punished. Confirmed. Published. These military merit quests appeared in the military merit system of the various armies. Zhou Zhou looked at the military quests and nodded in satisfaction. This way, he wouldn't have to choose. He would just let the soldiers compete. Among the 3 slots for the hero inheritance, the one with the most ability would be the one. At the same time, all the soldiers instantly went crazy when they saw this military merit quest. A hero. What a revered title. Every life form had the ambition to become heroes. Originally, they thought that becoming a hero was a distant goal for them. They might not even have the chance to become heroes in their lives. But now, His Lordship actually placed this opportunity in front of them openly and let them compete fairly? Who wouldn't be excited? Even the soldiers who knew that they could not compete for the hero slot felt honored. They felt that their Lord really treated them as His own people and valued them. He was willing to reward them with any treasure. As for the military merit quests being fake, how was that possible? There was the example of the ghost god General Luosheng. No one would doubt the authenticity of this military merit quest. I lost to Luosheng last time. This time, I must get this opportunity to become a hero. I must become a hero so that I can directly realize my dream of bringing honor to my ancestors. His Majesty is indeed His Majesty. He gave us 3 spots for the hero inheritance right from the start. In other words, it won't be long before our Blazing Sun Kingdom will have 3 more heroes. This is already stronger than many veteran beginner kingdoms, right? It's hard to imagine that we've only been established for less than a day. I'm proud that I'm a subject of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. The soldiers and the subjects who received the news discussed excitedly. On the other side, in the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise, Zhou Zhou looked at the mountain of Lord Talent crystal fragments in front of him and could not help but take a deep breath. It's time to advance to the blessing of the war god. Zhou Zhou was filled with anticipation. He had finally gathered enough Lord Talent crystal fragments needed to upgrade the blessing of the war god. He waved his right hand. A mountain-like Lord Talent crystal fragment appeared in front of him. Among them were 60,000 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and 4 diamond tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. Zhou Zhou began to fuse. He first fused 60,000 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments into 6 white platinum tier Lord Talent origin divine crystals. Then, he placed them together with the 4 diamond tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. A text notification appeared. Do you want to fuse it into a diamond tier Lord Talent origin divine crystal?
Yes.
Zhou Zhou said without hesitation. These Lord Talent crystals emitted a dazzling white platinum tier light and diamond light. After the light dissipated, a transparent diamond crystal emitting a diamond glow appeared in front of him. It was a diamond tier Lord Talent origin divine crystal. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he immediately opened his Lord Talent interface and muttered to himself to level up. As the diamond tier Lord Talent origin divine crystal in his hand emitted an even brighter diamond light, a text notification appeared. As you have 3 white platinum Lord Talents at the same time, Blessing of the Tin Gods, Blessing of the War God, the Shelter of the Goddess of Life, and Dragon-Slaying Hometown, please choose one to advance to. I choose the Blessing of the Tin Gods, Blessing of the War God to advance. Zhou Zhou said without hesitation. Lord Talent has been chosen. Upgrading in progress. He felt a familiar warm feeling between his eyebrows. Zhou Zhou's expression was calm, and there was nothing unusual about it. A moment later, the warmth on his forehead gradually disappeared. A new text notification appeared. Lord Talent upgrade successful. Congratulations, your white platinum tier Lord Talent, Blessing of the Tin Gods, Blessing of the War God has been upgraded to diamond tier Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God. You have leveled up to Diamond Tier Lord Talent effect. Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, Diamond Tier. Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God. One of the 10 main gods under the Supreme will has blessed you and your combat type professionals. You and your combat type professionals will receive an additional 1000% promotion energy after killing the enemy. A smile appeared on his face. It actually doubled. Still, this wasn't over yet. This was because he still had 28 Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments and 19 Epic Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. He had been useless all this time. He had been waiting for today. Without hesitation, Zhou Zhou took out 10 Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments and 10 Epic Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. He fused them into one Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal and one Epic Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal before choosing to level up again. This Lord Talent was upgraded twice. Zhou Zhou looked at it. Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, Epic Tier. Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God. One of the 10 Master God tiers under the Supreme will has blessed you and your combat type professionals. You and your combat type professionals will receive an additional 8000% promotion energy after killing the enemy. Zhou Zhou looked at this Lord Talent and suddenly laughed. 80 times. This was an additional 80 times promotion energy bonus, which meant the soldiers under other lords would only obtain the promotion energy of a life form if they killed a fog monster. As for the soldiers under his command, killing a fog monster would give them promotion energy from 81 life forms. This bonus was extremely terrifying. Zhou Zhou understood that his soldiers were about to undergo a huge improvement again today.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.